Congressman, I'm seeing just a couple of things here in the news. Laura Clausen over the Daily Co's writing, the headline kind of says it all. White House plans to strip disaster relief from California and Puerto Rico, but not Texas, to build Trump's wall. What do you think about that?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I think hopefully by later today we will have some sort of response from the White House on the supposed deal that negotiators came to last night. To be perfectly honest, the details I have are what I'm reading in press accounts. We haven't been given any more details. I saw that already Sean Hannity and some conservative Republicans were knocking it, so that means there may be something good in it. But my guess, and this is just my guess, this is not coming from our caucus or anywhere else, is that you know, he may very likely not accept it because he wants another short-term CR, followed by another short-term CR, followed by another short-term CR, so that we're constantly, in his opinion, tied up and not able to do oversight, and that we're constantly negotiating with him and Republicans over this. What he doesn't understand is we've got plenty of committees that are doing oversight that have nothing to do with the negotiations, so things are going to continue. But I think this is part of his strategy to make it so that we're not talking about the Mueller report or you know, any of his staff that have been indicted or flipping on him.
I would view that as a media strategy. You know, I mean, this is a guy who did a reality TV show every week for 11 years. He understands how important it is to reset the show, you know, every week. You know, you've got to restart everything. And so if he can keep us in a constant state of anxiety, confusion, and discussion about his wall, number one, he keeps, you know, feeding racism to his base, which is pretty breathtaking. And number two, he distracts us from discussing, the fact that he's putting lobbyists in charge of the EPA and the Interior Department, that they're raping our lands, that they're robbing our working people, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it's just it's like it seems like, you know, it hadn't occurred to me what you just suggested, that he wants to have continuing resolutions, you know, every other week or something like that, you know, into the distant future. But now that I think about it, it makes so much sense.
Yeah, I just think there's a possibility. Again, this is not a mainstream thought here in Washington. This is my opinion from watching how he operates. But, you know, the fact that Republicans, the reason they came to a deal is because Republicans still understand that we don't need money for a wall. Don't forget, it's their language in the last appropriations bill that specifically said no money, essentially no money could go to any designs after March of 2017, which is when his designs came out for the wall. And as I understand it, we don't have this 100% yet, but what I understand it is the language in this, again, says that the money that is appropriated can only go towards what we previously appropriated for fencing and things like that. He's still not getting his wall. They even know it's a dumb idea to waste taxpayer dollars on the wall. So, you know, he's got even a fight among, I think, some of the more traditional Republicans. But for him, I think there's a whole other strategy. Is he's just trying to keep the narrative away from what he doesn't want to talk about, keep us tied up, he thinks, to some degree, to not do all the hearings. And we'll see what happens. I think we'll know by the end of today.
Yeah. Donald Trump tweeted on the day before yesterday, February 10th, quoting from a Gallup poll, quote, "Open borders will potentially attract 42 million Latin Americans," end quote. "This would be a disaster for the U.S. We need the wall now." He's just coming right out now and saying that his problem is not immigrants, it's Latin Americans. How does it get more racist than that?
No, you can't. Well, I mean, I guess you get in full gear. But short of that, I don't know. I mean, you know, all of the comments around this are deeply embedded in a racist message. It's more than a dog whistle. It's a huge dog horn to his base, and they get it, and that's why he was just down at the border again, trying to appeal to that portion. But again, everything he said last night, you know, if you talk to Veronica Escobar, who took Beto's seat, who represents El Paso, or you talk to Beto O'Rourke, for that matter, who had a competing rally last night. Now, El Paso is one of the safest cities in Texas, and it's at the border, and it happened before any kind of protections were put in place. It's because of how the city is designed, and it runs very smoothly between the Mexico and U.S. sides and how things operate. So, you know, Donald Trump, again, just went down there and lied to people. And
right.
I'll never forget when, you know, one of the other rallies he had a couple rallies ago, and some woman in the upper Midwest, actually in Minnesota, said, "Oh, they may try to break into my winter home because they believe his rhetoric that they're trying to sneak up here and hide, when in reality I don't know many people who want to come across the border and sneak into a frozen lake home in Minnesota. But that is the fear that he's instilling in people, and that's how he gains his power. So it's for every wrong, evil, terrible reason he does these things, which makes it, really hard to take him very seriously.
Yeah, and just for the record, because I never heard it on TV this morning, and I watched several hours of it, Trump got, according to the El Paso Fire Department, Trump's crowd was 6,500, Beto's was 15,000. So just for the record.